And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 4, episode 23. Boy, what a season unfolding right here. In the last 30 minutes or so, we just saw Calvin, number 2, get knocked off. And I was just looking at the poll. And since the week 3 poll was released, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 have all lost. And I just mentioned Calvin. Well, one of those other teams that got knocked off was number 4, Oswego State. And that is why I've got my guy Sam Trunley here with me from Case Western Reserve University. Sam, you are coming to us from the South Point Hotel in Las Vegas on the heels of a big win last night and another big game today. Thank you for joining the QCast from Las Vegas, Sam. How the heck are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm more than anything focused on playing Clark tonight. Definitely allowed ourselves a little bit of room for celebration last night, but I think the energy around the team was that we were preparing for today. I mean, we knew we didn't come here to win one game. Obviously, Oswego was the big ranked opponent, but Clark's a really, really good team. They've only lost to ranked opponents this year.
Right.
That's where our heads are at. We're definitely locked in, ready for Clark. We're not, getting over our skis. We're ready to play tonight.
And we'll definitely talk about that game here. For those that don't know Sam, he is a 6'3" junior guard from Glen Ridge, New Jersey. He wears number 10 for the Spartans. He's having a big season. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists per game. He leads the team in steals. He's playing 24 minutes a game. Yesterday came off the bench and played huge minutes. What was a key in defending Jeremiah Sparks for Oswego State. Sam, let's first talk a little bit about kind of the game last night, before we get into your game coming up today and everything. But talk a little bit, if you would, about that ball game last night and the huge win you had over Oswego State, if you would.
Yeah, I think the big thing is we really put it together defensively. We've got a lot of guys that can really guard. Myself, I like to think I'm a decent defender, but we've got some, Umar Rashid is, probably eventually going to break the Case Western blocks record.
Yeah.
We got guys like Preston Mako, big long wings, Richie Manigault, Colin Kyle, Anthony Mazzio even plays a little bit of defense for us sometimes. We got guys that can really, and all those guys can really go on offense, but it was really nice to see us play defense against a really, really talented team. And, for a team where we kind of say our offense is our best defense, we didn't shoot the ball great, and we held a really, really good team to under 80 points. And that's a team that likes to go. So for us, that was really big to see that we could guard that way against, a team at the highest level of Division III basketball. That was really, really big for us. And I think that kind of gave us some confidence moving into tonight that, we saw we could guard that way.
And Sam, in watching the game last night and watching Oswego State play a lot last year, I feel like they have to be a really hard team to defend. It seems like their whole offense is predicated around dribble drive, and it seems like every guy gets into the middle of the lane, and then once they get in the middle of the lane, like they're so crafty at getting to the rim. Talk about defending like their style and that dribble drive and everything that they do.
1000%. It was very much like everyone had to guard their own man. It wasn't, there wasn't a lot of help. There's not a lot of room for like team schemes. It was, the guy you're guarding, you have to take the pride in stopping that guy in front of you. And I think we all, especially with number 23, Jeremiah Sparks, that guy, he can really, really
He's
go.
great.
I guarded him the whole game, felt like I did a great job, looked at the box score. He almost had 25 points. He gets his. He's a really, really, and they have guys up and down the roster that can do stuff like that. But yeah, it's taking pride in guarding your matchup, trying to avoid paint touches, keep your guy out of the lane, and make him take jumpers, make him shoot over you. And it's also nice, as a guard, I feel comfortable guarding way out because I know I have my bigs behind me. I got some really, Ian Elam, Umar Rashid, Colin Call, all guys who I mentioned earlier. But these are guys that I know I can go guard my man because they've got my back on the help side. So I can be out there, pressure the ball, and then we've got good help from our bigs.
Talk just a little bit about your experience there at the D3hoops.com Classic. It's obviously a great tournament. It's held in Las Vegas at the South Point. What's the experience been like? You've got great teams on the men's side, the women's side there, a lot of excitement. What was it like kind of heading to this thing, and what's it been like since you've been there?
Yeah, it was especially playing in the UAA, we do a lot of traveling. This trip's been different from every other trip that we've taken, though. This has been a ton of fun. it's super cool being here with all these other teams. I mean, you're walking around, you're seeing a bunch of college basketball players, being, in the hotel with the guys. It's a ton of fun. It's a really great team bonding experience. And yeah, I mean, it's been a ball. It's been a ton of fun. I mean, we're going down. We've watched, I think we've had one player at pretty much every game that's gone on. You're watching hoops all day, you're hanging with your friends. It's been a really, really great time. And, the South Point's been great. We haven't had to leave, everything you need is here. So it's been really nice for us. And just a real good bonding experience, especially for us moving into conference play, coming in the first of the new year. Kind of having all this time together after break is really nice for us as a
Yeah.
team to kind of gel before, I don't mean to say the real season, but the real season begins.
Yeah, it is that conference UAA season. That is the real season. That's the one that counts the most for you guys. When you think of the setup here, playing back to back nights, as you know, as a junior and someone that was part of that great team last year, that's how it works in the NCAA tournament, right? Is you've got a game Friday, and then if you win, you have a game Saturday.
Yep.
So you've got that same kind of back to back situation here. You played a great team last night, you win and you get Clark tonight. Is there kind of an NCAA tournament feeling when you're playing back to back like this, or kind of talk me through that?
100%. I mean, it's, we sort of get a taste of that on our UAA road trips. We play Friday and Sunday, and your Saturday is, you don't really even touch a court very much. You kind of just are traveling, especially on that weekend when it's like Rochester and Atlanta, that's a long trip for
Right.
then play that next Sunday and, one of two very tough environments. So that sort of preps us for this. But yeah, this did feel very tournament-esque. I mean, my freshman year playing at Oshkosh 2 games. Last year, we were lucky enough to host. But yeah, it's a good prep for that because that, I mean, we're not getting, again, like I said, we're not getting over our skis, but we do have big tournament aspirations. We want to get back there. We want to make noise. We know we're a really good team. We want to show everyone that, and I think we try and do that every night. And we did that last night. And we're excited to do that in the tournament. And this is good practice for that.
You mentioned Oshkosh. I wasn't preparing to ask you about this, but it just that it triggered in my head the sequence at the end of that game. What that you guys had an amazing comeback to knock them off at their place. And then of course you went on to host the next round. So
Yeah,
the
we hosted the
sectionals.
Sweet 16. We played Mary Hardin Baylor.
What was that? What was that win at Oshkosh like? I can't remember all
Unreal.
the sequences, but there was like a crazy big offensive rebound somewhere there. Like, talk
Yeah.
us through the end of that Oshkosh game.
Yeah, I couldn't walk you through the play by play, but I remember Ryan Newton, who was graduated 2 years ago, came up big for us at the end of the game. Cole Frilling, who graduated last year,
Yeah.
came up big for us. I think Cole, who was, could score at will, only had 5 points in that game, and 2 of them came right at the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember watching that Oshkosh game. I was on the bench. I was a freshman. I didn't play any minutes that game. I was turning to the guys next to me, talking about our spring break plans because we thought we were going home. We thought we were going away.
Right.
And then at the end of the game, it was like, oh well, all right, well, we're here for another week. Let's go. I mean, I remember even 2 minutes left in the game, I was like, oh my God, we could really, really do this. And that was a really cool moment. That was really when, I guess for me, it shifted what this program is about. Because before, my freshman year, Case had never had a winning record in the UAA, never made the NCAA tournament.
Right.
It's not a result of me. It's a result of Coach McGinnis, Coach Wick, Coach Fitz, who's now at Alma, all the guys that have put in a lot of time and effort into this program, the players. We've been lucky enough to get a lot of great older guys that have really helped us build a culture here. And then guys like in the grade above me, Ian Elam, Luke Thorburn, Hunter Drenth, really building a culture. And I mean, from my freshman year, from then to now, the expectation, I mean, I remember I came in freshman year and we were talking about, oh, we could maybe make, win 8 games in the UAA and maybe we could even sneak into the tournament.
Right.
Now it's, we're trying to win the UAA for a second time in a row. I mean, that was really that moment, as much as it was special then, it's a really, pivotal moment in what this program has been.
It's a great point because you're a junior, and so you've seen the development of this program right along the way. There's been so many like firsts for the Spartans in the last 3 years, and I'll get my years mixed up, but I think in the last couple, it's like the first win over WashU ever or something like that, right?
Yep.
I remember like,
I mean, yeah, that was crazy for me to hear coming in, that having
yeah,
Coach McGinnis say, "Oh, we haven't beat this team in 15 years." It's like, what?
right,
I mean, that's a crazy statement to say, But, now that's not our mentality. We are, we like to think that teams are getting ready. They're having to get up to play us, and we're still getting up to play everyone. Obviously, we're not, again, I like to say we're not getting over our skis. I think we're a pretty grounded team, but, at some level you recognize
Yeah.
what you've done and what you're a part of. And I think that showed last night that we were ready. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot of firsts. First NCAA tournament, first UAA, first NCAA tournament win,
Yep.
Sweet 16. We broke the school wins record my freshman year. We broke it again last year. I mean,
You're
yeah,
off
I'm
to a
lucky
pretty
enough.
good start again this year. It's sitting at
Yeah,
10-0, right? You're
10 and
kind of on a
0.
good pace.
I mean, yeah. I mean, speaking just from personal experience, my high school team was bad, and we lost 20 games a year, and I'm in college now. I haven't lost 20 games in my whole career in 3 years. I
That's great.
barely lost 10.
You guys are rolling. We're talking to Sam Trunley of Case Western Reserve. Let's talk about this Clark game. So, I've been big on Trinity, Texas all year. I think on my last top 25 ballot, I had them 15. So I was watching that Trinity Clark game with a lot of interest. And the thing that I came away from that game, in addition to thinking like Trinity, Texas is really good, I remember thinking like, wow, Clark is good. I didn't know anything about Clark. All I knew was what was on paper, and their record was really good. They had one loss at the time. They lost by 1 point. They were up. A kid from Trinity hits an incredible three, like from the
I
left
got
wing,
fouled.
right? And then Clark has a chance to win it at the buzzer. They missed. Your impressions on the really good Clark team that you faced tonight?
I mean, I think you said it right there. They are a very, very good basketball team. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Their record shows it. Their two losses come to two very, very tough opponents. And you got to be ready to play a team like this. And I mean, how can you not be? You're playing in Vegas. It's your second night. We're coming off a big win. How can you not be ready to play? This is what you play college basketball for. But yeah, they're really good. Their guard play is strong. They probably have the biggest big we've played all year. He's 6'8", big boy. Uses
Yeah,
his body, is physical, and they've got some guys that can just really go. Yeah, I don't really have much more for you, but they can. I mean, all their guards can get downhill. They can all shoot. They play well together. They run nice sets. Yeah, they're a good team. I'm excited for tonight. It should be a fun game.
that game, if I'm not mistaken, is 6
6 p.m.
p.m. Vegas time, so 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's been a crazy last couple days with all of the holiday games that are going on. I mean, like, staying up to watch games going on in Vegas and California. It's an amazing week if you're a D3 fan. Let me, Sam, just let's take a sidestep for a second and talk about you personally. So, Coach McGinnis says that you want to be a lawyer. Tell me what's your degree going to be in from Case Western Reserve? What's the path after graduation? Walk me through like what you're studying and what you're looking to do.
So degree, I'm a double major in history and political science. I'm probably going to pick up a minor in either economics or maybe marketing. I haven't actually decided on that yet. I'm still picking some courses out for that. Yeah, and law school is definitely in the cards. I actually might try and take a year between going to law school and undergrad and try and go play overseas for a year if
Cool.
those opportunities present themselves. But we'll see about that, one step at a time. But yeah, my sister's a lawyer. I like to argue. I think I'd be a good lawyer. I'm pretty disagreeable. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's something I think I'd be good at. I think I definitely, watched Suits, thought it was really cool. I looked at Harvey Specter and I was like, I want to be like that guy. But yeah, I mean, no. So those are all things that I think are yet to come. Um, you know, my goal right now though is obviously tonight beat Clark, and a little bit bigger than that, do well in school, and then I know if my grades are good and I do all the right things at Case and keep building my resume, interesting opportunities will present themselves.
How did you end up at Case, by the way? Like, who was recruiting you? What was the decision between? I always find that to be really
Yeah, no.
interesting.
So it was really between Case Western, Brandeis, and Stevens were my final three.
Good schools.
All good schools. I loved Brandeis. That was a really cool school, being up in Waltham, right outside of Mass. You take the T into Boston. And then Stevens was kind of the stay-at-home option. It's 15, 20 minutes from home.
Sure.
I could have taken a 15-minute train ride and been home for dinner every night if I wanted to. But then really coming to Case, our old assistant coach, Mike Fitzpatrick, I had a really great personal relationship with him. I think the first ever like recruiting camp I went to at like Columbia University, my freshman year of high school, I was a very bad, unathletic freshman, and Coach Fitch was very, very nice to me. And we kept in touch. At the time, he was at Susquehanna, and then eventually he transitioned into Case, and then my junior year came around, we reconnected, and then sort of went from there. And then and then the other big pull to Cleveland was I have some family in the Cleveland area that I didn't get to see very often growing up. So coming to somewhere where I was away from home but still had that family was really, really important to me. That was a really nice thing. Can go somewhere Sunday night for dinner, or bring my laundry if I really don't want to do it, something like that.
That's awesome. I just always find it to be interesting how people pick their schools and who was on them as you kind of look back. You had great options. You picked a great option.
Yeah, I definitely made I definitely made the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing great things in school. You're doing great things on the basketball court. Need to ask you about the conference for a second. The UAA, it's always been one of the best conferences in the country. The last couple years, in particular, last 3 years, whatever, it has been off the charts, like ridiculous. When you think of the top of the league this year, Sam, and I don't even think we know exactly who the top of the league is, but I know that Case Western Reserve is good, and I've watched Emory, and I know they're ridiculously good. And I think NYU, had they not lost a crazy fluky game to Swarthmore on a bank three, I think we'd be talking about them as a top 3 or 4 team. I've seen WashU play. I know they're really good. And I guess we could just keep going down that line, right? So, like, what's it like to play in a league where literally every night out there is a great opponent waiting for you?
It's awesome. It is so much fun. As a competitor, it's what you ask for. There is no easy game. Every game it's not hard to get up. I mean, I don't have trouble getting up for every game. I love to compete. You could play me against a bunch of little kids and I'd be ready to go. But, I think you get to play these great teams. You get to travel to these cool cities, and you're playing really, really good players every single night. A lot of kids that, probably could have been scholarship players, but decided to go to these schools for,
Right.
their great academic prowess, whatever it is. And that's really, really special. I mean, last year, like an example, we beat WashU when they were really highly ranked at home, and we were, over the moon. And the next game we played Chicago, who hadn't won a conference game yet, and we lose at home.
Yeah.
And it's, that's what the league does. That's how good this league is. And especially those Sunday games, Coach McGinnis has said it since my freshman year, and I've learned over my 3 years how right he is. Those Sunday games, it doesn't matter who you play. They are very, very tough. If you're on the road on a Sunday, it doesn't matter who you're playing. You're probably not the favorite.
Right.
And that, that's cool. I like that. Every game it's a dogfight, and, you kind of get to know these kids that you're playing against over the years playing here. I know who we're looking at. And like you said, NYU's really strong. Shout out my high school teammate, Brian Musaka, playing for NYU.
Yeah.
And then, Emory's really strong. WashU's strong. There's not a bad team in the league.
No.
There isn't. There really isn't. And it's a really, really cool opportunity. I mean, I have loved it. And the big appeal is the travel. I mean, the trips we take are awesome. Chicago, New York, Boston, Atlanta, Rochester, St. Louis. I mean, you go to so many great cities. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, obviously, is the best. But
let me just a couple more things. I know you're busy and I don't want to take too much of your time. Wanted to ask you about the Spartans offense, because I've watched you guys play a lot the last 3 years, and there's something about your offense that is so impressive to me, and I can't really put my finger on it or explain it. It just always seems to me that you guys are going like downhill. That's like a term people use. It always seems like you're attacking, and it always seems like you have these interchangeable parts and guys attacking the basket, but also guys that are sort of fearless in taking tough shots. Like,
yeah.
I'm thinking of that Prendergast dude, and like whoever else I'm thinking of in my head is like, what is it about your offense that I'm trying to explain here that makes it so difficult to defend?
I think a big part of that is Coach McGinnis. He gives us a lot of freedom within the offense. I mean, he says we're all playmakers and we're all expected to make plays. And that's what we do. We have a lot, and this year I think more than ever. I think this is, I love the two teams I've been a part of, but I think this is the most talented team with the grad guys we've brought in this year. I mean, we have really 8, 9, 10. I think we have guys that don't play.
Yeah.
I don't think, I know we have guys that don't play that could go to a lot of programs or even step into a role in our program and, do a lot of the things you see us do. And yeah, our offense is, we don't run a ton of like sets. We don't run anything that's like overly complicated. It's a lot of just, sideline dribble handoff, simple action and allowing like I said, our playmakers to make plays. And our playmakers aren't just guards. I mean, we have bigs. I mean, we had Colin Call, our 6'7"
Yeah.
center, coming off ball screens last night. I don't know many other teams that can ask their 5-man to go stand on the wing and then come off a ball screen. But it's a really nice luxury to have. And we play loose, we play fast, and we all play for each other. I think that's a big thing. No one's mad. No one, if you miss a tough shot, I think on some teams you got guys, you're looking over at the guy who shot that, like, what are you doing, man? Here we know, we've seen these guys in practice hit those same shots, so we have no issue with it.
Sure.
I mean, like Anthony Mazio this year, he makes shots that I haven't seen dudes hit. Like he's a bucket. There's no other word for it.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a real good player. I mean, I'm, really lucky to be able to play with him. And sometimes as a fan, you see him take those shots and you're like, oh, what? Why? No, that's who he is. He makes those shots, I could say that about, every guy that plays on our team, guys that don't look like scorers for us, in practice, they're killing dudes, and when they're asked to step up and, score points, like Ian Elam, it's a guy who for us, does everything but score, rebounds, assists,
Right.
guards. By the way, last year when it was asked to score, he had 20 and 10 2 times. It really just speaks volumes to how talented this team is.
On the I should ask on the transfer front, it's been an interesting era in Division III with at all levels, but with the COVID year and with the portal and schools with grad programs able to bring kids in for that 5th year, and Todd's really done a great job of bringing in high level talent. Your team this year, as you mentioned, is the best example of that. You guys have some unbelievable transfers that have come in from a guy that was there last year, Sam. Obviously, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but it seems like you have made this work. I could see it a lot of places it's not going well. Like I'm a sophomore, I'm going to be a junior, and holy crap, like we're bringing in 4 or 5 studs from other conferences. How did you and the returners make all this work to where you guys are so meshed together right now?
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear what you're saying. When you see, we're bringing in 4 or 5 guys that all, Anthony Mazio was a big time scorer. Colin Called led his team to the NCAA tournament. Preston Mako, who now comes off the bench for us, which is crazy to say, was an all NESCAC player last year. I mean, an all NESCAC player coming off the bench that's a pretty crazy thing to have. Richie Manigault was another great player. And, it's easy to get into the mentality of, oh, these guys are coming to take my minutes. And I mean, that's what you should want. It's, you're a competitor, compete with these guys, iron sharpens iron, the guys who are best are going to find their way onto the floor. And that was sort of what Coach McGinnis, Coach Wick kind of, hey, if you're, guys that are good enough are going to play there. It's no preferential treatment is given to the grads. Is, the guys who can hoop, we're going to let you hoop. And that's not to say that anyone on our team is not, ready to play. I think everyone on the team could play real minutes at a lot of places, but it's tough. And there is something to be said for, you can't teach experience. You can't teach age. And that's something, every year I've been lucky, whether it was Griffin Cornicker and Mitch, my freshman, and Mitch, my sophomore year, or Danny Fraunheim last year, Brian Hines as well, my freshman year. I don't want to forget him. All these guys, they bring so much experience, and it's no matter how talented you are, you can't teach that. And that's, older teams in college basketball win.
Right.
You look at your team, I don't think anyone under the age of 20 plays.
Right.
In our starting lineup, I don't think we have anyone under the age of Umar, but everyone's 22 and up.
Right.
We have these older guys that are seasoned veterans that we're not, when we play in Oswego in a, 6,000 to 8,000 seat arena, the lights aren't too bright. These guys are ready. They're calm. They're composed. They know who they are. They know what they're here to do. And, no matter how talented you are, you can't teach that. You just got to play games. I mean, I've noticed that even from last year to this year. Last year, I would go in the game and I was just trying to not get subbed out and trying not to mess up. This year, now that I've got some, a whole season under my belt being at least a bit of a contributor last year, now I feel like, all right, I'm out there. I can be a playmaker, do things like that. make shots, do all those things, kind of set other guys up and not play so tentative. And yeah, I mean, the grad transfer, it's been great. I mean, they are all of the grad transfers I named are a huge part of why our program is what it is. Yeah, and I mean, I think it just speaks volumes to Coach McGinnis on his ability to recruit those guys and to consistently now it's 3 years in, keep getting these guys to come
Right.
and want to play here and want to buy in. And I mean, this year it was definitely at the beginning. It was, how are we going to gel
Sure.
this group where you lose your 3 first-team All UAA guys, Danny Fronheim, Mitch Prendergast, Cole Frilling. All those guys are gone. That was, you bring back 2 starters and then myself and Umar Rashid, who played off the bench last year, and then you bring in, 5
Yeah.
transfers. That was, and it speaks volumes, I think, to us as a team to bring those guys together. But again, to the coaching staff and their ability to kind of, teach us all to play for one another. It's about more than just yourself. It's about being part of a team. And, we all have really bought into that. And that's something that's really special. I think that's why, we have the ability to do something special this year.
Yeah, and I give you and all the returners a ton of credit because again, I've seen these kind of things go south. There's some in Division 3 right now where teams brought in a lot of transfers and it's not working. There's several of those examples. So I give the to me it's working because of you and the other guys that returned being accepting of those guys and making it work. That's why it's working. So
One
huge kudos
thousand
to you.
percent. Yeah,
Now,
I agree. I think it is, we have definitely embraced them as much as they have embraced us. But I also think it's bringing in the right kind of guys. It
yeah,
is
good
very
point.
much, bringing in team first guys, and that's what we did. Every single one of the grad transfers. I mean, I'll go back to Preston Mako. This is a kid who averaged 16 points per game on a very, very good Wesleyan team and had no issue 2 games in the season saying, you know what, coach, let me step to the bench. Let's let someone else step into my starting role. I mean, you don't get that. That's a
Yeah,
very, very
that's really
unique
cool.
quality. That's a really, yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. That's really cool. And I mean, I'm really lucky to play with all these guys. I mean, they are more than teammates. I would consider each and every one of them a good friend. And that's not something I've ever had on a team I've been a part of. I wouldn't say there's any rifts, and that's, we're really lucky because of that.
Final question for you. It's one I ask anytime I have a student athlete on there. There's a hashtag that floats around out there, YD3, and those of us on Twitter and other places have fun with that, trying to tell the story of why Division 3 is so special. As a junior, someone now playing for Case Western Reserve in big games on a 10-0 team that's ranked very highly. As you step back a little bit here, Sam, and you look at your experience, how would you describe to people what is so great about Division 3, about this level?
Yeah. I think it's, your life balance is a real thing. I never feel like I am having to give up other parts of my life for basketball. And if I do, it's on my own terms. The time, obviously, yes. Is the team demanding? Is it, are we traveling? Is it a lot of things? Is it stressful? 1000%. But I am not being asked to sacrifice big parts of my life to be, a basketball player. I am allowed to be a full person. I have other things outside of my life going on than basketball, and that's something that's really special. And that's something that at the Division 1 level, I think sometimes gets lost. You get guys who, get sold a dream and then they get there and it's, ooh, like this is really intense. Not that it's not intense here, but you're allowed that more of that opportunity to be a, more rounded individual.
Very well said. Appreciate that. I think people always get a lot out of
Yeah,
hearing people talk
absolutely.
about that. Well, I tell you what, 30 minutes in, good place to let you go because I know how busy you are. You got the big game tonight. Again, it's at 6 p.m. Vegas time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. It is Case Western Reserve 10-0 versus a really good 8-2 Clark team. And that's not going to be an easy one for the Spartans. So I think that's going to be a great one for everyone to tune into. Sam, why don't you kind of give us any final thoughts you have? You got some Spartans fans tuning in. You got D3 basketball fans. You got just Division 3 partisans in general. What would you like to kind of leave everyone with here on the QCast today?
I mean, first and foremost, definitely tune in tonight. Like you said, 6 p.m. Vegas time, 6 p.m. or sorry, 6 p.m. Vegas time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be a great game, and I just want to say thank you to you for having me on, Bob. This has been great opportunity. To my Spartans fans, let's get it done tonight. Move on to 11-0. And to the greater, D3 Hoops people, thank you all for supporting us. D3 Hoops has been, one of my most favorite things, one of the best parts of my life. I feel very lucky every day to get up and play with this team and play at this level. So thank you to everyone.
Well, I got to give also a shout out to my booker for this episode. Today, I sent a random text to the head coach of the Spartans, Mr. Todd McGinnis. He responded about 20 minutes later. He said, "Yeah, of course I can get you a guy. I'll send you a text back with who it is." And you couldn't do that in Division I. I don't think you can randomly text the head coach at like Duke and be like, "Hey, can I get one of your guys on a podcast here in about 3 hours?" So thank you to Coach McGinnis. I know how busy he is. And folks, that is Sam Trunley. I think you have a good idea why the Spartans are such a good team with guys like Sam on the floor. Sam, best of luck tonight. We'll be watching and to keep things rolling this season. Okay, bud?
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.